Yeah, we don't, there's a couple we don't have. We don't
Okay,
have-
we may have the following, so then you're
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah.
Okay.
BEDB.
Should it say any other, or should there be some other?
May have the following committees as deemed necessary. 7, and any other committees formed by the board, something like that.
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary, because you can still, even if it's not in this policy, nothing prevents you from
Well,
establishing
this says
committees.
standing committees, and then there's special committees. And I
Right.
think it's when we come up with an issue that we
Okay.
want to try to,
But if you don't have all of these committees anyway, are they all really standing committees then?
we have a building committee, we have a transportation and negotiations and a policy. Extracurricular and finance and audit, well, we have a budget committee rep.
What about
No.
wellness committee?
You don't have your own Wakefield School Board budget committee, and I don't mean the
No.
municipal budget committee,
No.
I mean a.
We're not big enough to,
We're
Right.
not extracurricular, we
Right.
don't have extracurricular either.
Well, you
We
may
have
want to
wellness
consider
committee?
removing those then.
Oh, that'd be
I
right.
mean, if
Or
they
remove
don't
those.
exist now, then they're not standing committees,
Right.
right?
Do you want to cross out
it
two
says
and
may,
power?
so what if we
Right.
want what those in the future?
Mhm.
Maybe
So
we-
then you just put a
you
catch-all
said you
phrase,
just
and
pull
any
it
other
on.
committees as may
Yeah.
be formed by the board.
And
As
any,
may-
Or
Or
may be
number
established
7,
by the board.
And any other committees may be formed by the
These
board.
changes puts it back to another first reading.
no, it doesn't, does it, Liz? We're making the changes now, and then there would be a second
I
reading on
suppose
it?
if we had the full approval of the full board, it's okay.
When we get them done, I'll ask for approval of these, all these.
Any other committees, what was that word?
As may be formed by the board.
And then we're gonna cross out extracurricular and finance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. We don't have them, so let's cross
We
them
don't
out.
have committees, we have a budget
Yeah.
committee rep, you know.
Okay, any other corrections or anything on that one? Okay.
Just- yeah, okay.
BEDB.
If I make comment,
Sure.
the last pair, BEDB, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Agenda preparation. The last paragraph you have underlined in black text, and contact the appropriate person prior to the board meeting. I don't know what that means, and I can see that going to a bad place.
Well, that was the discussion we had at the policy meeting was, do you have to call the superintendent to have the superintendent call the business administrator, or do I have to call the chairperson to call the superintendent to call the business administrator?
Members of the public who wish to speak at board meetings regarding an agenda item are encouraged to contact, either if the board chair and the superintendent are the ones that are putting together the agenda, it makes sense that
Oh, I
either of
don't think
those-
that's supposed to be there.
The superintendent, well then the superintendent.
No, that was supposed to be up in the next paragraph above it. That's not for the public. That was supposed to be where the board members shall be expected to read the information provided them and to contact the appropriate person to request additional information. That's in the wrong place.
Oh, okay. Just a cutting and pasting.
No,
Okay.
I'm glad you saw that,
Oh, all right.
because I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So we're gonna leave superintendent and just move appropriate person to
To,
the previous paragraph from
right.
superintendent?
yes, that's what it's
And
supposed
to
to say.
contact, right?
Yeah.
Where does it say the chair works with the superintendent? I mean, everybody's always sent agenda items to
We
me, so
added
did it
it
go
right
in
here.
here?
Every board member has the right to place items on the agenda by contacting the chairperson or
Oh, okay,
superintendent.
all right.
Second.
Okay.
What you're
Paragraph.
gonna see the agenda prior, but I also, again, if your current practice moves for you, don't do it because I'm telling you to, but I like the idea of, I guess you're gonna see the agenda anyway before the meeting, but I like the idea of other persons knowing that, Bob wants the playground issue on the agenda and Mary wants the facilities issue on the agenda, so, whether or not that's, you inform your entire board, or, that's up
Well,
to
we
you.
get our agenda, normally
A
our
week or
packet
so.
comes like the Friday or Saturday
All right,
before the
then
meeting.
Don't make any substantive
So everyone's
changes.
aware
Yeah.
of what's on it.
Okay.
But if they come to, the agenda item is usually come to me, and Judy may have her list, and Viv will have her list, so when I send them on to the superintendent, he knows who to contact in case there's something on there that he wants more information about.
Okay.
Mhm.
If they, so, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay. Nothing on this next one, BEDH. DKC.
There's nothing on this
No.
one? Where
Grand reduced lunch student base. Yeah.
where are you,
Yeah.
DKC?
DKC is, oh no, they're all cross coded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just prior approval.
DKC was changed at the last meeting. Jay wanted to put back in outside New Hampshire. That's why this
And
was
remove
changed.
excess mileage.
Oh, that's
'cause
right,
it's- Who's gonna say what's excess
Right.
mileage, right?
How come you didn't do BCA, the ethics one? Because that's related to school board.
It's in the other list.
It's in the other list,
Okay.
second reading.
So we have a second reading. I'd like to address that one before Barrett leaves on a second reading.
Can we finish this packet first?
Sure can.
EFC, free and reduced price. The policy committee just hadn't seen this before. JJE, we put superintendent or designee.
Thank you.
In your free time.
Yeah.
And JLCE, we added, and I believe it was either Jerry or Jay that wanted number 6, other duties as assigned by the incident commander, added in. And I believe JLCK is brand new. This is something that Scott wanted in it. I believe it's required by law.
It is.
Great. Thank you for that
So those
committee.
are all-
Good work.
Done for first reading?
So did you say we had to approve the changes, Liz, on these? or-
Well, if we change them, those changed policies should come for a new first reading, but if we're all familiar with each of the changes, somebody can make a motion that we approve them as amended.
For the first reading?
For the first
Yeah.
reading.
Okay.
Can I make a motion
You
to
should-
approve them as
Yep.
amended?
Can I have a
on
second?
First reading?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The second reading.
We'll get you headed south soon, Barrett.
Yeah.
What's that?
We'll get you headed south soon. Thank you for your
Yeah, that's fine.
commitment.
That's fine.
The only thing on the second reading, the BBAA was stuck in here, and that was supposed to be held. And it is in the first reading of the ones we just did.
Okay.
So when we go to approve these tonight, we gotta leave that one out.
Which one, Judy, I'm sorry?
BBAA was pulled last meeting and went into back to the policy committee.
So it's in both of our files.
So we're gonna go right to the one,
These are all second
Second reading.
readings.
Second reading, yeah. I just want to go to BCA. Unless anybody has something on that, I want to go to 11. Yeah, BCA, number 11.
Bullet 11. On the BC, policy book.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you have that one, Barrett?
I don't. I have BCA.
Here you go.
Is that the one I gave to you?
Oh, I have it
Pardon, isn't that
memorized.
the one I gave to you?
Yeah, I think I had all the policies that you were doing the first reading. I don't know if I had.
No, the one I pulled out of my packet.
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
was, yeah.
Give me a call. Yeah.
BCA, you're on?
Yes.
Yeah, BCA number 11 is the one that Priscilla's addressing.
Yeah, I mean, what,
So what happens, or if somebody isn't demonstrating courtesy and decorum towards fellow board members?
Can I ask a content question first?
Yes.
Because that's going to get into an interpretation question. I wonder whether or not, and believe me, this is self-serving, whether or not it would be appropriate in this to also reference SAU and district employees, however it's worded. I think that would be not unreasonable.
yeah. Yeah, I think that would be fine, whether it's in that same sentence or a separate sentence. It's the
If
same
that's
thing
the
to-
pleasure of the board.
To district employees and SAU employees, sure.
Can we vote on anything to do with the SAU at our Wakefield meeting?
Yes, because this is referring to your board member ethics.
Mm-hmm.
And your board members do have relationships with SAU employees, so I don't think it needs to be a joint board action. This would be an ethics policy relating to this board. I think you're fine.
So you want, where it says fellow board members, SAU and staff?
And district employees. It's going to cover some, might as well cover everybody.
Yeah. So, was there a question to me?
Yeah, basically, what happens if this isn't carried out? I mean, if there is somebody that's not demonstrating courtesy and decorum towards fellow board members during public meetings?
Nothing happens. I mean, there's nothing in law that policies, especially sort of an ethics policy, there's no teeth to it. There's not a violation of law. Board member, doesn't lose his or her seat for, displaying discourteous behavior. There's very little that can be done. There's very little recourse. Some school boards I've seen have taken, have issued some sort of public reprimand or censure against individual board members, but again, that has no legal bearing on the board member's seat. I generally recommend against boards doing that. To wait for the board to air its dirty laundry, and I just try to limit that as much as possible. Sometimes they do it just as sort of a public statement, if you will, rebuking that particular behavior. But as far as legal consequences, no.
So
And that would take a vote, I'm sorry, that would take a vote of the board.
A
One
reprimand or a
individual could
censure.
not do that.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry.
One individual could not do that, that would take the vote of the board.
Correct.
How about BCAR, the ethics policy? If you sign that ethics policy, then you're not legally bound, but you're just morally bound by it.
Right, I mean, it's not a contract and it's not your oath of office. We've recommended, the school board, when I say we, the School Boards Association has recommended that board members sign that ethics statement saying they've read by it. More so, again, no legal binding to it, but more so a board member can't say, well, I haven't seen the policy, or I wasn't familiar with the terms and conditions of that policy. Just sort of another statement that they've read it and they acknowledge it, and they'll try and they'll abide by it. But in
Okay.
terms of ramifications or legal effects of violating that policy, or even if they sign that oath, there are none.
Yeah, we've never signed the ethics policy, but it's probably a good idea for everybody to sign.
So I know every board's different
Yeah.
across the state.
I mean, it's one of our
Some boards do.
policies. It seems like we either
Right.
sign it or take it out.
Right.
Where are these housed, these signature forms?
They're filed in the SAU office when they're done.
What's the purpose of them?
Could you let us know at some time in the future if you have our 5 signatures on file?
I
I've never
don't
signed-
know that
I've never
any have
signed
ever
any.
I
been
think I
signed.
did.
Do you think you did? Okay.
I haven't.
All right, I'll add it to my list. If Kathy doesn't know where it is, it doesn't exist.
The districts that I know do it, I don't think they make board members sign it every year, but when you're sworn into office after the election is.
Just to make them aware
Yeah,
of it.
just-
It's basically just a reminder, it
Yeah.
doesn't have any consequences
Exactly.
or ramifications. so.
Exactly.
But that's still not a bad thing to read it, understand it, and
Right.
we want to abide by school board policies. We make it, we should abide by it.
Yeah, I mean, this policy, BCA, I think we designate as recommended, so it's not required by law. Obviously, they have an ethics policy, and the signing statement with the two would then be recommended, but again, it's not, it's not required by
Right.
law. You know, with the recommended policies, as I've said a dozen times tonight, whatever the will of the board.
We can make the policies stricter, but we can't make them more lenient, right?
Well,
Because most of them apply to a law. A lot of them reference law, so
yeah,
we can't change the law.
you can't
We can make
change
it
the
stricter
law.
than the law,
Yeah, well, yes.
or make it,
It depends. Some
But,
laws are
yeah.
the
well,
other way.
yeah, some might be,
Right,
yeah,
you know,
it's true.
for example, you need, well, that policy may be required by law, so that may be a bad example. Some of the legal references don't necessarily mean that policy is,
Not required by the legislature, it's not.
right, it's more a reference of say, well, what's the basis for having,
Ah,
you
okay,
know,
yeah.
what's the basis for this policy in law?
And you can reference the law.
For example, there's a new law that says school districts may retain unassigned year-end fund balances, provided your legislative body adopts a warrant article authorizing you to do that. Brand new law takes effect this year. I amended our sample policy relative to fund balances to put a statement in there saying, upon approval of the voters at the annual meeting, the district may retain an unassigned year-end fund balance consistent with applicable law. So I referenced that statute at the end. You don't need a policy. You could still do it without the policy if you wanted to. But I put that in our policy and I put the legal reference there. So if a member of the public or a board member or an administrator comes to you and says, well, what's the basis for this policy? Why does your policy say this? Oh, there's a legal reference right there that points you back to,
Right.
the authority that gives the district the right to at least adopt that policy.
Right.
Did I make that, was that clear?
Very, yeah. Okay, anybody else got any questions of Barrett?
Yeah, actually, I do.
Go right ahead.
To go back to BCAR,
Yep.
where you said this has no legal standing, is it a good idea to have a policy where it's illegal to demand or coerce anyone to sign anything against their will?
Probably law already.
You're certainly not coerced to sign it. I've had some boards that have this in place, and there's been a board member here or there that has refused to sign it.
Yeah.
And I ask them to sign it, and they say, no, I'm not signing it, and I say, well, there's nothing I can do to make you, and you still have your seat.
Well, right, but if it's a board policy and you're supposed to be abiding by
If there's a-
board
If
policy,
there's a policy and it has no legal effect, does it make sense to have the policy?
Why
then
have the policy?
That's a
Maybe
good
we should
argument
just
could
omit it.
be
Well, we
made
have
to say
policies
no.
that aren't all legal. I mean, we have policies for the good of the,
Yeah.
but
they
this
are
is
school.
different, this is asking, or, to me, it's almost, as I said, it's kind of like coercing someone to sign a document. That's clear, clearly in violation of the law. You cannot demand or coerce anyone to sign any document against their will. So, to me, this is a coercion, because on a school board, you're supposed to be adhering to all board policies, and I don't think you can, I don't think it's a good idea to have a school board policy that it's a very gray area.
do you object to BCA though, the policy itself?
No, but I object to BCAR.
Okay. So I mean,
Uh,
the ones that
just-
are defined in BCA, like 11, display and demonstrate courtesy and decorum towards fellow board members, then we should all be abiding by that, right? And you agreed to that.
I'm talking about the one BCAR.
I understand that.
Okay,
yes.
so I'm not talking about BCA. I'm talking about BCAR.
Okay,
Period.
okay.
Well, the funny thing is that we've never signed it.
No, we
So
haven't.
it doesn't
Then,
matter.
if you've
I-
never signed it, then
Except
it out.
Liz
remove it
thinks
from
she may
your
have.
policy book. Or,
I just-
but Mr. Brown's points, I've gotten that question before from board members that have said, they've called me and said, they put this in front of me and told me I have to sign it. Do I? And no, you don't have to sign it. They can't make you sign it, and I don't mean you, I'm talking.
I know.
Yeah. They can't make a board member sign it, they can't kick you off the board for not signing it, there's no legal effect if you do sign it, there's no legal effect if you don't sign it.
Right.
So to your question is, does it make sense to have it in place then? Yeah, no. I would ask that board members sign it, but that's,
Get rid of it.
that,
Thank you.
your point is well made. Your point is well made.
And I don't have a problem with taking that out either.
All right, so there's a second reading, so if this is something the board wants to pull, there needs to be a motion, right, Liz?
I'll
Yeah,
make
and-
the,
But why don't you finish them all, and then we can just do them?
Well, that's why I was wondering if anybody had any questions on any of the others for second reading.
I'm going back to BCA now. You have no problem with number 11, Steve?
I don't know what your point, I mean, I don't know what your point you're trying to make, Priscilla. So you can beat a dead horse all you want, but whatever, I'm not gonna address that, period,
Fine.
okay? And if that's what you're trying to get me to do, I don't know what your point is, but no, I'm not going to address that. I'm not gonna do that.
Okay,
so.
Liz, do we make a motion to take this one out, or?
Yes, and then there was one other change we made on BCA.
Steve, you going to make a motion to take BCAR out?
The
BCAR.
one you
Right.
have to sign. Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a second on that one?
Second.
All in favor?
That one, ask that
Take it out, take it out.
Okay, then.
again. Ask that again.
What?
We have a motion and a second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed?
Okay, so we take it out.
And the other one is the BCA itself. We added SAU and district employees.
Okay, sure. Can I have a motion to add those, the staff and SAU employees?
So moved?
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think we're all set, Barrett, and I thank you very much for coming up.
Pleasure.
Yes.
Is there any other, sure thing, if there are any remaining questions, certainly have Jay get in touch with me if you go home tonight and you think
Okay.
of something else
Yeah, I'm
that's
sure
on your
we'll get
mind
that
that you didn't think of, as we're here. I know sometimes the questions, kind of get lost in the flow of the conversation and whatnot. So, a couple other points. One, again, thank you for having me up. Two, thank you for your continued membership in NHSBA. We appreciate your continued membership, we appreciate your dues, and, we certainly hope that we're able to provide a quality service in return for that. And, without our local school board members and our local school boards, there's no state association. So, happy to come on out and happy to help the board with, whatever questions and concerns it has to get in the direction that it wants to go.
Well, thank you for your
Thank you.
quick
Thank you so
response.
much.
Thank you very much.
Notice you said, have Jay contact me. He did not say, do not all the individual board members call me up.
Good seeing you. Thanks for having me up.
Jay just told me he was going to bear it out,
Okay.
so we will proceed as soon as I find my agenda.
Minutes.
Well, do
Okay.
we need motions on the second readings?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah, we do.
I'll do it.
Okay, Judy.
Make a motion to accept the following revised policies. EA, EAA, EB, EBA, EBBC, BBBD, BBBE,
BCA.
BCA.
no, I'm doing just revised.
So let's revise now.
Is that one's revised now? Okay, BCA, BCB, BDA, and BEC.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll make a motion
Unanimous.
to reaffirm BAAA, BBBA, BBBB, BBBH, BC, oh, no, we got rid of that one, BDD, and BDG.
Can I have a second?
Did you say BBAA?
No, I left that out because that's in the first reading of tonight.
That's right, it's duplicate.
I pulled
Yeah.
that one out.
Duplicate.
Can I have a second? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, unanimous.
But
Okay.
actually, in the second reading, as well as the first, we could be done with it.
Do a second reading?
No, it's in the first reading packet, it's in the second reading packet. But if it's in the second reading packet, we can be done with it by moving it as reaffirmed.
But we made a motion to pull it at the last meeting. At the last meeting, I pulled it for a review. So that,
I think that was stated in the minutes.
I think we better leave it alone and do it at the next one.
Okay. Minutes. Minutes of the last meeting. Any corrections? You do.
Page 1.
Go ahead.
The large paragraph about halfway down. I think it's the 9th line. Mr. McIntyre noted that he has been advised, it was Andrew had been advised.
Okay, so that should be D'Agostino, not McIntyre?
Yeah.
And it wasn't 105 Mac Air iPads.
No,
No.
it's just Mac Airs.
Yeah.
So you gotta get rid of iPads there, and then 1, 2, 3 lines down, there's another iPad.
All right, slow down here.
It was then reported that Paul School has received
Pre-programmed.
105 Mac Air computers. That should say.
And
And
then,
it should say 120 iPads.
Okay. It was then reported that Paul's School has received 105 Mac Air computers,
Yeah, and
105 iPads,
No, 120.
120. And 8 carts.
okay.
And then if you continue down 1, 2, 3 lines down, it says, given the option to substitute Mac Pro iPads, cross out iPads,
iPads.
it's just
Yeah.
Mac Pros.
but before you go down there, Paul School has received 120, yeah. Then it says media drive, so the new CD study programs, it should say CD Study Island.
No, it was all,
No, what was the program?
Oh, really? I thought it was mentioned Study
all
Island.
programs.
Okay.
Because it was the social studies, it was Study
All right.
Island, it was fast
We were
Okay,
Math.
I
talking
just
about
remember
curriculum.
talking about
Yeah.
Study Island. All right,
So if we go down to Mrs. Nason wondered what programs were pre-programmed in the Mac Airs, not iPads. And then 2 sentences further, Mrs. Martineau observed that the iPads do not have a hard drive, it should be Mac Airs do not have a hard drive. think that's it for
Do you have
me
anything else on
page.
that page, Liz?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, I did.
You
The
do.
motion to approve the manifest was made at the same time that the motion was made to approve the minutes. It was done later on.
It was
They were
done
both
after
done
the minutes,
together.
yeah. It was separate motions, but they were done at the same time.
At the same time, it was at,
Because I'd forgotten them.
So do I move, which one do I move?
Move the manifest review motion.
To where I have the minutes?
Right. Anything on page 2?
yes.
Go ahead.
1, 2, 3,
Hold on,
4,
please.
5. Fifth line. Mrs. Martineau reported that she believed the majority of the, it should say MAC
Okay.
airs, had not been unpacked. And then 2 lines down, Mr. Byrne confirmed that the unpacked equipment was locked in the store. And the next sentence, Mr. McIntyre added that he has an appointment with Apple. I don't think he had an appointment with
No.
Apple, I think he said he had an appointment with 4 administrators.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a communication from Apple, and that's probably what got confused. There was a
Yeah.
communication from Apple
But
and
you
a
had
meeting
an
with
appointment with
administrators.
It was
4
your
administrators.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Anything else in that paragraph?
Administrators from where?
From SAU 64.
Okay.
Liz, do you have anything in that first paragraph?
No,
Okay.
just what's been said.
Judy, Viv, what do you got?
My motion isn't accurate, but I don't, it says Mrs. Mosquito made a motion to stop unpacking the technology equipment and look into the possibility of returning the equipment. I didn't say that does not meet Paul's school needs, I said and purchase the Mac Pros.
Actually, I think you did, but
No,
I'll
I
change
watched the
it.
video.
All right. Returning the equipment,
And purchasing the Mac Pros.
Under the old business section, I just remember that there was quite a larger discussion with Mary Wilson in that section. We asked about changing the schedule, and she gave us an explanation of the intervention schedule. And she also explained the Smarter Balance testing.
so how would you like me to enlarge it?
Well, there's just nothing in here that she even said. The only thing that's in here about her even being here was Mrs. Tolbert introduced Mary Wilson, and then she read her report. I just,
Which is exactly what she did.
yes, but up under old business, we had asked about, that's when we were talking about school approval report, and she,
She went through the
Step-
growth model. Business plan. Gee, I'll add whatever you want me to, you just need to tell me what to add.
oh, I'd like in there that she explained the Smarter Balance testing. Maybe where it says Mrs. Wilson observed that the AYP would become the growth model. And she explained that we were moving towards Smarter Balance testing.
Anybody else?
Backing up to the middle paragraph on that page,
Okay, Liz, go ahead.
the line about in the middle, trying very hard to be accountable to the town, perhaps being a pain in the butt, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a result, the board has a good relationship.
Anything else on page 2? Page 3. Nothing on page 3?
Yeah. Maybe it's, all right, I guess we did it under old business. It's, the school approval process was discussed under the principal's report, but it's covered under the old business, so. There was a discussion too about the 30-minute period at the end of the day and a question as to how that was going to be used. And I think it was asked of Mrs. Wilson what was going to be put in place for the last 30-minute period
I
of the day.
thought you asked Mr. Byrne that.
Do I ask Mr. Byrne that?
I'm pretty sure you asked Mr. Byrne that. He
Yeah,
said he'd
but
find
he
out
answered
from,
it.
Yeah,
from Mr. Gregoire.
I wasn't here.
No,
Right.
no, you weren't here.
I'm pretty sure it was Mr. Byrne.
Yeah.
But I thought Mary was going to answer about planning.
On that third period.
I think
What's that?
we
What's
did
the
ask
question
it
now?
of
The que- I
Nate.
guess the question was what's
Yeah.
going on in the
Yeah,
last
what-
30 minutes for the
Last
junior
the
high.
way the schedule's been designed, you don't have that 30-minute time at the end of the day. We add more time into the actual core time. So
Oh,
you
the
have-
schedule's been changed?
Yeah, we've had to make some changes in order to, make some changes in who's getting lunch at what times, just so we can make the schedule work, so we have more time for the core areas, and you're not having this study hall. There is a little bit of time in the morning, the earlier part of the day for advisory. It's not an awful long time, but it's a short amount of time to touch base with the kids about where they're at in regard to a team building, where they are in regard to their classroom. But no, it's not time at the end of the day any longer, so you don't
Okay.
have.
Oh,
you
that's good.
Actually, specials at the end of the day, we had to make some changes, fifth and sixth grade lunch, and who's having specials when, really is trying to maintain the integrity of the specials, as well as maintain the integrity of the elementary levels, where they learn best in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so making sure, the way the schedule was originally set up, the kindergarten, K2 or K1
Yeah.
had their IAs first thing in the morning, which isn't good for them. They really need to be doing their core areas, is primarily reading and math first thing in the morning. So we had to make some changes, just to make sure they all fit in.
Okay. Now, we can you,
It's a long answer.
here, okay. How would you like that put in here, Judy?
I don't think that answer was available at the time, so I
No,
don't
that
think it
answer
should be
wasn't.
included.
No,
in
it
the-
can't be included.
So you can just put the the question in, Mrs. Mason questioned what was going on for the 7th and 8th grade at the 30-minute period at the end of the day.
That couldn't have been available at that time, only because
Right.
I only
Right.
made that change last week.
All right, so Judy, that was a rather long sentence, I didn't get
Sorry.
it. but I'm sorry.
If you could just put in that Mrs. Mason questioned what was taking place during,
What would be taking place?
yeah, the 30-minute period at the end of the day for grades 7 and 8.
Anything else on page 3? Page 4.
That's part of the principal's report? That's where you want to
Well, that's what I was asking her, where she wanted that.
Actually, it was in between Mrs. Colbert introduced Mary Wilson and the correspondence.
Okay, so it wasn't part of the administration stuff.
That's where I stuck it to.
No, it
Okay,
was
that'll be-
actually in between.
Okay. Page 4. Anything on page 4?
Yeah, we need to fix what was in that packet, down at the bottom there, those policies. See, we've got the blanks down there at the bottom, do you have them?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I didn't have copies
So
of the forms.
BEDH is public participation at board meetings.
And BDC.
I don't have BDC. So it couldn't have been that then. Trying to think what was in his packet. It was a separate packet.
Is it this packet here? Find it here.
I think it was this one. Yeah, BEDH, public participation at board meetings. BEDB, agenda prep.
Barrett walked off with my packet.
I think it was BDE.
He did.
What?
I
Barrett
think
walked
that
off with my
BDC should
policies.
be BDE,
Oh.
Okay.
and that's committees and delegates.
We'll get some more next time.
I think that's all of them, right?
Those were the two
Two
that I
blanks?
didn't have.
Okay.
Anything else on page 4? Page 5?
There was
Okay.
more than just those policies that were referred, Liz made the motion. There were more than those policies that were referred back to the committee.
You want to correct them?
Well, it was that whole packet of J's was referred to the committee.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
These were pulled off of, okay.
Wait a minute, I see what you're doing, BB.
They were pulled off of either a first or a second reading list.
BBAB, BBB, and BDB were pulled off of the list. EFC, JJJ, JLCE, and JLCK were also pulled off too, though. So there was more, I guess there was more than that.
I'm not sure. I think those other ones, Judy, were ones that I brought because I had reviewed the policy manual, identified them as also referencing the chair.
Right, and we decided to do those as well, but there's
So they were
other
not-
ones, there's more than 3, because there was
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there were 7 that were pulled. So it was BBAB, BBB, and BDB, which you have. But then there was another packet.
Yeah.
Did you have,
Want me to give them to you?
you have them?
EFC,
EFC?
yeah, JJE, JLCE, and JLCK.
You don't need the descriptions, do you? Just the letters, okay.
Oh, these, right? On your list.
You want them? The ones you just wrote, told you?
I think I may have them all, but do you want me to add the descriptions for each of those as well? Or just list the names, numbers?
What you have written, oh no, it is in there,
It
isn't it?
says Mrs. Nopio made a motion to refer blank to committee.
Can I leave,
I don't think you need to.
add the
She didn't
titles?
put the title, she didn't say the titles, she just said the.
The
I think
numbers.
which, I don't even think she said the numbers, I think she said refer those to.
Yeah. I think the letters are
But
sufficient.
I think the letters are sufficient.
Anything on 5?
Yeah, under B, the list of policies,
Mm-hmm.
for first reading, BBAA was taken out. BEDB was taken out. And DKC should be taken out.
Any other corrections to 5? Page 6. Any corrections on 6? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do the non-public and non-public?
Yep.
Okay. Old business. Does anybody have anything for
Yeah.
old business? Judy?
The date of the cookout?
I'll cover that, sure. I kind of feel like you need to kind of approve that. It's something, this is kind of your thing to do with the community, but I talked with Chris Farrow over Cafe Services, and I asked them if they could do that next Thursday.
10? 11?
Is it 10?
What's today?
What's the date
Today's
today?
the
13th.
13th? It's not a Friday, is it?
Today's the
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. So I spoke with one of his supervisors today. And I said, again, I told him I'd get back to him tomorrow regarding the exact numbers, or close to exact numbers, after talking with Ruth and a few other people. And they said that everybody shows up.
It's,
Yeah.
it's big.
So what we
yes.
talked was 320 hamburgers, 320 hot dogs, a macaroni salad, a big macaroni salad, I guess, chips, watermelon, and lemonade. Does that sound about
Sounds
right?
great.
So 320, I mean,
Well, that-
400 students.
320 of each, so that's 640.
now Ruth had said to me that there were people coming up for thirds.
Yeah, well.
So again,
No,
just,
no.
Yeah.
just throwing that out there that
2 parents, 800.
I don't.
Well, she's done
I
it
think
for
I'd
like
increase
5
that,
years, I
but-
think.
I'd increase it.
To,
500?
I think that, yeah, because if you're looking at about, what, 412?
you want 500 of each?
Yeah, I think so. What, you think it's too much? I'm just throwing it out there. Well, I'm just thinking if we have 400 students,
I'm just going by
at least a
what,
parent,
Ruth has done it for the last, what, 4 years, 5 years, and, you
and
know,
she thinks
they should-
300 of each is
Well, it
enough?
seems like they should have a pretty good handle on it.
He was saying there were 400 and some students
Yeah,
and parents
and-
and.
Well,
And the
the other
weather
thing-
is gonna completely affect turnout. I mean, some of
Yes.
it's way beyond our
Right,
control.
and the other thing, keep in mind though, we also have new administrators and everything, so you're probably gonna have more parents wanna come
Yeah.
and need people.
How about,
Sorry.
they could still use those hot dogs and hamburgers for lunches too, right?
Yeah,
So
can we
if
throw
they
them
don't
in
get
the freezer?
cooked.
I suppose, I mean, they're using the same burgers that we
Right,
had for
but-
lunch yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Yeah.
same type of burger.
and
So-
they're
So
frozen.
this-
They, well, they actually, they are pre-cooked. They're pre-cooked burgers so that you don't have
nice.
problems with, concerns with these, it's undercooked. That's just how Cafe Services does it, that's how they purchase them.
Next Friday will be taco salad.
I think
Once they put it on a grill, can they make it to go back inside?
But honestly, they'll never do, again, imagine how many grills we'd have to have running to cook 500 of each, or
Crazy.
320 of each. What they'll do is they'll cook them in the,
They do.
they'll
They-
pre-cook them in the oven,
Hmm.
for the most part, I mean, just to try to cook in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
So they'll cook them on the big tray, so they can take them right out from the freezer to the oven very quickly, so it's not like they have to have.
And what time were you
burgers start.
thinking?
Again, what time do you want to look at 4:30, want 5 o'clock starting at 4:30, start at 5?
It's gonna be open house too, right? It's kind of,
Is that how we
That's
normally
what we-
do it?
yeah.
Okay.
they get to go down to,
So I guess
Their
it's up to you too
classroom.
because
Okay.
of the teachers, so
What time do you normally do that? an open house? You normally do a 5
We-
o'clock, 5:30?
We usually do 5 to, is it 5 to 7 we
I
did?
think if you did a 5 o'clock and you included the barbecue, I think the 5 to 7 would be, very
Okay.
appropriate, right at that dinner time.
Because the principal always says something, everybody comes into the gym at some point, and the principal
The
usually says
principal
something.
usually has something to say and
Right.
introduces any new staff
Staff members, yeah.
Okay, great.
I think it's tough to ask staff members with
Wow.
1 week notice
Yeah.
to be available next Thursday night.
Mm.
I agree.
I mean, they have
Yeah.
personal
Would you
lives.
like to
I
do
mean,
the
I
following
think we'd be
Thursday?
better off to give them 2 weeks'
Yeah.
notice.
And we do
Yeah.
the following
Yeah.
Thursday. I will let them know.
So
So
what's
the
the following
20th?
Thursday?
The
The
following
20th?
Thursday will be
20th.
the
20th.
Are we
Thursday,
okay?
September 20th. Social calendar.
I mean, they know that we have it every year.
Yeah,
It's
but
not-
yeah, I think it's, but you're right, without.
Yeah.
Be nice to
again,
give them at least 2 weeks' notice.
Again,
Look out,
the
5
shift
to
of
7.
administration, not knowing how it all works, so.
So what time did we decide on?
Cookout slash
5
5
to
to
7.
7, yeah, I'm gonna have open house barbecue,
Yep.
although somehow the word got out to the community and someone was calling and wondering what time it started last night. So, I'm not sure.
Is it appropriate for me to ask my family to attend and my children?
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think it'd be great.
Because I think they'd like to.
Bring your family up?
Yeah, I think you should bring
We
all
better
your
bump
family.
up those numbers.
See that,
I told you 500.
see that baby?
Better add a few more burgers in there, got some growing boys.
No, and I think, and Nathan
And I might
too.
be
Yeah.
hungry that night.
You might be?
I might be hungry that night.
We've got a board meeting the night before, Steve, so you might not have had dinner
You
the
might not
night
have
before.
left yet.
We might still be here.
Wake up and sleep in
Good
bed.
You
possibility.
better bump that up to 1,000.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna
So
go
we're
9, from 9:20, 5 to 7?
9, yeah, 5 to 7, are we saying 500 of each, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think.
Is that too much?
No, that's my thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
500 hot dogs?
That's a lot.
That's a lot. I could see 500 burgers, but 500 hot dogs?
Okay, 500 burgers, 400 hot dogs.
Kids will eat hot dogs.
They'll eat hot dogs before they
Kids
eat
will eat hot
hamburgers, for
dogs.
most of the little ones.
500 hot dogs, it sounds like.
Where do hot dogs fall in the wellness?
Yeah.
Turkey,
no.
turkey
Yeah,
dogs.
I'm not kidding, I'm thinking if we have them left over, we end up with,
Well, they served them the other day for lunch.
Yeah,
They had
yeah, they had
hamburgers
them for
and hot
lunch
dogs.
and-
I'm moving through lunch so fast, I don't
And
even see what
cheeseburgers.
they're eating. Are you kidding me, Judy?
They did, they had the
They had the
barbecue.
barbecue. and
I
it
saw
was
the
on
burgers,
menu.
I saw the burgers, I
It
didn't
was
see the hot
yesterday.
dogs.
They
Kids
did
had-
have
There were
hot
kids
dogs.
eating
Because I was
hot
talking
dogs.
to kids they were raving about the hamburgers.
Yeah, they had hamburgers,
The
cheeseburgers,
cheeseburgers,
and
they
hot
loved it.
dogs.
So, okay,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Well, Cafe Services has done that too. Tell them how many, they know how many students we have, parents, and what
Yeah.
do they normally
Yeah.
put on. So,
Okay,
Okay.
old business
Anything else?
report cards.
Well, you know, the thing is, if you're having watermelon and you're having a pasta salad with it, people may not go back for the second hamburger, the second hot dog. I don't think we
'Cause they've
had
only
that
had-
last year.
they've only
All we
had chips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Chips. Okay. Any other old
Report
business?
card,
We haven't met on that,
okay.
not yet.
Old
I can,
business.
I can make sure we have something for our next report
Okay.
cards. For the school.
Handbooks, how are we doing with those?
Go to print tomorrow?
They're going to print?
Going to print tomorrow down to Staples?
Okay.
Staples, what about that other place?
Too expensive.
Too
Well, it was
CK was
interest-
more?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
You know, actually, an interesting bargain with Staples, I had called down to order 500 to account for new students who rolled in.
Yeah?
And they said, well, 500 will be, I want to say $800. But if I ordered 560, I could get it for like $570. It was just this odd, buying in quantity.
That's
You got-
weird.
Yeah, I thought it was really strange. I didn't argue. I said,
Oh,
okay,
no.
thank you very much.
So, when
We'll
do you
buy
anticipate the
560.
kids would have them?
Probably, I would expect Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or
Yeah.
Tuesday?
You could
It's
ask for the
2 days.
last 60 copies to be blank,
It's-
and then you can just reuse the
Well, you
paper.
can- Absolutely. Can I just have those in reams, please?
So you,
Yeah, well, they expect a 2-day turnaround time, so we'll get it out tomorrow, back by, I could probably pick them up Saturday, they'll be done locally.
so I will do up those trifold brochures so they can go home with those handbooks.
Great, beautiful.
Okay.
The other old business I think needs to go in non-public. It's an update on the legal matter.
Then it definitely is non-public.
Okay.
Okay, any other old business?
I was looking at the teachers' lounge. Have we changed the state posting?
No, we have not.
Can I tell them you're gonna let me tackle it? Harriet is, she was in there and she said that she can't wait to get in there one day after school, and she would love to be able to take everything out and clean it all up and organize it. So I volunteered to help.
It's a train wreck, isn't
So we asked Mr. Gregoire if we could have permission to do that one day after school, and he said, by all means. It is a train wreck, so
it? It'll be nice.
Hopefully we'll
You did it,
be
and, you know, and
attacking that next
Miss
week and
Messina
getting a
did a
nice
very-
teacher's lounge.
Ms. Messina did a very nice job working in the library. If you take a look over here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you had a chance, take a look in that room. It looks great.
Steve, you had
Thank you very
something?
much.
Yeah, can I say something about the teacher's lounge? Did we discuss taking the vending machine on
We
We
took
did.
Yeah,
the
the-
soda machine out and put a water machine in.
there? Oh,
That happened.
But
Jerry, what is that room used for off the teacher's lounge?
That
There's
room-
the bathroom on the left, and then there's an empty small room on the
Has
right.
a
Small
microwave.
office?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It used to be Tim's office.
has a table.
Is it still?
Isn't that Joe's office right across?
No.
Or is
No,
that?
when you have the teacher's lounge, as soon as you go in, it's that first little room, it has a
It used to
microwave
be,
and a table.
Tim's
You know
office.
what, I'll have to take a look. You know, I'm still kind of acclimating myself to these little areas off the
So I want the
beaten
flashing
path.
lights, no.
It's off the.
Jerry
off the-
Hughes
yellow,
trying to
though.
get work done.
It is yellow.
Tim painted
That's what I'm
it
saying,
yellow.
I'm not
No,
even
no,
sure, I'm
it's
thinking,
not that one.
is it
Oh, it's
Jeff's
not that one?
office?
It's not
Is
that
it-
one.
And it's not Joe's office?
No,
It's
it
not the one
used
right
to
across from
be-
that little bathroom?
It is.
Yes.
That's not Joe's office. So last year, the bus drivers were using that.
It's a tiny little room.
Yeah,
I
it
think
has a
that's Joe's
table and a
office.
microwave.
No.
But I think some of the teachers were saying if they need to make a personal call or a private call, that there's a
No,
phone
I've
button.
just seen Joe in there, and I know he's been on the computer in there, so I thought I'd.
Oh, he has? Oh, okay.
And I'll find out. I had
Well, the
no
only
idea.
reason I was asking, I was wondering if all, like the refrigerators and the microwaves and stuff like that, if that room wasn't being used for anything particular, if that stuff could all go in there, and then there'd be much more room in the teacher's lounge.
Let me find out what that small room is.
Hmm.
It's across from the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because there's like microwaves stacked up on the table in
Yeah.
there, and if there was a room with a counter that they could put them on, then they could use them.
We an extreme makeover in there or something. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make you proud.
Any other old business?
The website, anything on that? Or we don't have the updated minutes or agendas, and some of the staff hasn't been changed. Who is going to be working on that, or do we know?
That's been Dave, but Dave's been pretty busy with other
Well,
things.
and
We
now
used to
with the-
have, the woman that used to work here in the building who would normally do that.
Right.
So Dave's kind of taken that whole thing on.
The Paul School one?
The website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a $500
Stipend for-
Stipend to
that.
manage that.
Okay, I'm just saying that the person who did it before was
Got a
that the
stipend.
woman was tech,
Yes.
outdoor tech
Right,
assistant.
Yeah, but she got paid extra
Okay,
for
I
the
didn't know
web
that.
thing.
I
Yeah.
thought that was
it was a
part of her
stipend.
job, okay.
So you can post that
Can
if
we
you
put
want.
that
Yeah.
as a
Post
stipend
that.
Yeah,
position?
post a stipend for, isn't it?
Just
that
a
also
website
uses
update.
Dreamweaver, doesn't it? Isn't that a Dreamweaver technology?
Sure.
Don't know.
I think it's a special software program you have to learn to do that for HTML.
Any other old business?
Student Activity Fund, I'd like to see if possible a committee be formed. And one of the main reasons is not just because of the fund, but last year, as far as I know, there were donations made by businesses in town and churches, and they are specific for children who, like field trips and stuff, who can't afford to. And I'm just concerned that I'd like to see that the donations are used where they're supposed to go. So ideally, I know with New Hampshire School Board Association, that was one of the recommendations, was to have an activity fund that is commonly used. And I'd like to know if it's possible to establish one with a board member, administrator, maybe a teacher and a parent. What do you think?
Approval? Are you
Excuse
talking for approval of the use of that fund, or?
For management purposes, for maybe fundraising, because we get donations from like the churches and some different organizations, and just so that you know, we might be able to utilize that for different things.
I'm not sure we need a committee, I mean, that's usually something I've always done, you know, is the principal managing it from the point of approving how it's used. That's always been kind of a building level, I don't know what your experience has been with that.
How will you do the donations, though?
Yeah, I think it's
Well,
just
what-
to make
what-
sure they go into, again, what line within the student activity, what category it goes into. I mean, that's typical, isn't it, Andrew? I mean, just if you have a fifth grade fund, that money goes there, or it's a field trip fund, or whatever it might be, that money just gets earmarked for that category, or that specific line within that student activity. That's just been my experience.
What I've done in the past is ask auditors for a recommended procedure for managing student activity accounts, and then just implementing that.
Actually, Andrew did that. He did that.
So,
Yeah, he went to a two-day, wasn't it, a two-day conference? And you had all that in place.
Well, I got auditors to give me a procedure, but
Yeah.
is it not still in place? Did it fall off the table?
Well, I don't know, well, we didn't have anything started yet. We didn't have the new administration or anything.
Hey, can I say, how about if Andrew and I get together and we go over that?
Yeah,
You
that's
can
fine.
introduce that to me, and then we can report back on it.
Yeah, why don't you report back to the board
Yeah.
how it's gonna work and see whether or not, whether we need a committee or whether or not we can get something in place that's gonna work.
Can we get a copy of the procedure and?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please? I think I'm more concerned is the donations because
Sure.
of some of the kids, and, you know, to see that, how that's gonna be divvied up, that's all.
Any other old business? That's it?
Yeah.
Correspondence?
We have one correspondent from a parent making a request of the board. How the board responds to the request would be public, but because it involves an individual student, the discussion of it would be a non-public.
No.
Okay?
Where am I? Any other correspondence? That's it? Administration. Andrew, financial reports. Wait a minute. First of all, Judy just showed me some minutes of 8:29 that weren't in our packet.
I have them.
Okay.
I didn't have them in the packet.
No, I
That's
said weren't
because
in the
we just-
packet.
These were ones that,
Just one page? Yeah.
yeah. No, front and back. Should be front and back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that now.
We have a lot of special meetings.
How about the ones that I did after the recess?
What'd you do?
I did some minutes. I sent them to
This-
everybody.
Yeah.
None. The non-public?
So maybe we
No, they
should just
weren't.
hold on to these till the
Yeah,
next
I guess we
meeting.
better, because I did send them to
You
Kathy.
sent
Yes,
them on
yeah,
the
you
computer,
did.
yes.
Yeah.
I got them.
Yeah. And they're not here. So why don't we,
Hold those.
Hold them over, yeah.
Can you email me a copy, Jay?
Is your email working, Liz, now?
you didn't get a copy, Liz?
No, I
Oh.
didn't either, so.
You didn't either?
Oh,
No?
You got my
I mean, both
copies.
of them.
Hmm?
You got mine.
Yeah, she's talking about the ones that she did.
I need the one you
After.
just passed out.
It was the
What,
separate,
buddy, else?
it was a separate
And-
set.
I'm sorry, I passed them all that way, didn't I, Liz?
Yep.
Sorry.
You want to save these for next time?
Yeah.
I think there is, do you have one, Liz? Because I think there's an extra one over
Yeah, you
here.
just gave me one.
All right.
Andrew, you need one?
We should do it next time so we can get the rest of the minutes.
Yeah, because I didn't bring a copy. Corrections.
Did you get
You
mine?
get, there's another
Yes.
copy here.
Oh, well, that's good. Somebody got them.
You need a copy, Deb?
I have a copy at home.
Oh, no, but there's another, don't you have any, there's more copies there, no?
Yeah, this is one.
So Liz didn't get them
All
and
right.
Viv didn't get them.
Okay.
Man, what the heck? Okay. Did you get them, Steve?
From email?
Yeah, from me?
No,
Col-
I don't recall, I don't wanna attest to that, but from what my recollection, no, I did not get them.
I think it was,
Very short.
Zoom minute, meeting. It was only a short.
Doesn't matter, we'll do it next time.
Yeah,
Let's
I'll
move on.
just mail them out to everybody. All right. Okay.
Financial report.
Financial reports, Andrew?
Have the expense report as of August 30th. Again, keep in mind, all the encumbrances aren't in there yet, It's still kind of in the proposal.
I was a little concerned about the teacher's salary line, that's over. I couldn't quite figure out how that happened, because I think we only had one change in the teacher, which shouldn't have.
Do we have anybody complete a degree and change to a different track,
Well,
maybe?
that could be,
Yeah.
but
Well,
33.
you also had me put the two teachers that retired, retirement bonus in
Okay.
there.
That's
There
why.
Thank
we
you.
go.
That's part of it. One was here and one was in the nurses section, so
Okay,
it's not the whole 33.
that's
but
part of it,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other questions on the expense report?
Yes.
Anybody? Go right ahead.
You gotta find it.
Oh, okay.
I was a little concerned, I think it was with transportation bus repairs. It seems like what's the 26,000 encumbered?
I'll check with the actual encumbrances of that. I don't recall what Susan used to come up with an encumbrance. We also had 22,000, so there's really 44,000, or 48,000, almost $49,000 left in the budget. for the
Right.
remainder.
But my concern is that there's $26,000
Well, I'll check
encumbered,
with
so
the
I was
encumbrance.
curious if there was some major repair or
No.
or if there
No,
was
no.
something
I don't know why that is. That's a good question.
kind of
And
early to
Steve raised
be-
the same question earlier, yeah.
And the transportation bus coordinator, 23,000
Yeah,
over.
where's that over?
Yeah, that's gonna change once I do the billing back to Milton for their portion of the
Oh,
trip. So
okay.
he's all charged to Wakefield.
Oh,
that's
The whole
what he
portion,
wrote.
yeah.
Okay.
So your salary, FICA benefits will always be reduced by half of his.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions?
And the other one's all charged to Milton, right? And then we just reimburse them?
Same thing with the maintenance.
Any other questions on the expense report?
I had a question on the treasurer's report.
Okay.
Under the detailed statements of receipts, the ACH trans settlement, web express transfer, what's that, Andrew?
Where's that, Judy? Is that,
Detailed statement of receipts, the last one, ACH trans settlement, web express transfer.
oh, that's actually me transferring the money from Profile Bank to TD Bank.
Okay. But it doesn't show up on TD Bank.
2691.
That ACH settlement shows up as the first transfer of 9364 on 6/6, but the transfer, that last transfer doesn't show up anywhere on the bank statement.
Well, if the bank statement went to June 30th and that was done the 29th, it probably didn't make it.
I was
If
thinking
it
the
was
same
an
thing as
electronic,
Well, the statements, they usually print through the night. It may be in the.
4th of July was a Thursday, 5th of July was a
Yeah.
Friday, so that was an
It
odd.
says here it's done on 6/29. The
still
statement ends
shouldn't take a week.
6:30.
yeah, but the deposit that was made from the town of Wakefield on 6/29 is showing up on this.
Depends what time, ACH.
No, it should have been there.
Should have been that.
That's the 6 cents.
I'll check with the treasurer, because there's actually 7 pages to the bank statement, there's only 2 here.
Okay, all right,
So
that
it might
might
be
be
showing
it.
up in another section that we're not seeing here.
Jerry, that reminds me, we've got to go to the bank and get that taken care of. You gonna be around tomorrow? All right, I'll give you a call.
On the revenue statement, what are the food service lines?
I'm sorry, Susan.
Revenue,
Yeah.
food service? Is the money that's expected or what?
Money we took in?
Oh, it's a negative number.
I don't know.
Food service.
$2,691. Isn't
Yeah.
that almost the same as percentage?
Is it money that's due us from the state that we haven't
That's the same
collected?
amount of money that transfer. That's the exact same amount.
I have to check that, because that's,
Oh, the fruit service,
Yeah.
the same amount as the transfer, the ACH?
ACH.
That's odd.
It is.
That's the exact same amount.
Yeah, that looks like a
Same number.
mistake.
The same.
Shouldn't be there.
Yeah. it should. Mistake. Any other questions on the expense reports or any other financial
If
reports?
it's food sales, it shouldn't be under child nutrition state.
Right.
It should be a separate line where that's food sales. Sales at school, I think it is.
Did you see that one, Andrew?
yeah, I'll look into that.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions for Andrew? Okay. Budget schedule. Everybody get that in their packet?
I gave everybody the budget schedule at the SAU meeting, if you recall. The
Yes.
budget
Yeah.
Schedule, is that what
Yeah.
you're looking for?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
My only question, I know Judy said this wasn't chiseled in stone, but February 8th from Milton would be a Friday, and the hours due Saturday at 1. And we have February 9th, which is,
Yeah, for the deliberative session, those will be adjusted once we have the dates from the
Okay,
state
all
when they
right.
have to take place.
because we usually do the Saturday, not the Friday. Milton does, we usually do the Friday night, and Milton does the Saturday afternoon.
What happened there is we switched, I'm probably gonna switch the dates for
Switch
the
the dates,
deliberative
yeah.
session, because it's still not.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
for-
Judy told me that
Another
wasn't chiseled in
copy?
stone.
Yeah,
What?
it
That's
has
a
a
budget schedule.
Do I have another copy? You can have mine because I've
Nope.
already written.
Liz, did you get the email today about the budget meeting on
Yes.
September 25th?
Yes.
Yeah, can I, how is that gonna happen? I mean, we haven't even discussed the budget.
It's a review of the end of the year for the school.
Oh, okay, it's not.
It's not for next year,
Did
it's
you
a
want
review
to-
of the end of the year.
Want that? Because I've already put it on my calendar.
Yeah,
Here you go.
please. Thank you.
Oh, we got them last week. They would have been in your last
Wednesday's
packet.
Okay.
Okay. Principal's report.
I started off, you all received in your packet, that was a fair amount of paperwork regarding school approval, school accountability, and the accountability report for adequate education. And I just wanted to, I expect everybody to get a chance to read all this, but really just tonight, the reason I gave you the FAQ, or the frequently asked questions for school approval, just to get an idea that what the difference was between the school accountability and the minimum standards for school approval, which is, Ed 306, that really heavy hit one. And basically, the kind of things you go without reading the whole thing too, if you haven't had a chance to read it, some of the things that you find in the school approval are the minimum requirements for length of day, the amount of time, the requirements for how many days you have to spend in school, or how many hours you have to spend in school every year, class roster size, adequate space, the policies we need to have, the curriculum, and really that's part of Ed 306 in a nutshell. I mean, this is everything we need to have in order to have an approved school for the state of New Hampshire.
Now, the areas that we were not approved
Yep.
in was it art, music,
Well, yeah, let me
health?
just finish for 1
Oh,
second.
okay, I'm sorry.
And then if you go over to the school approval, which is the much smaller packet, I think it's only 2 pages here, and the frequently asked questions, that's the school approval that we didn't meet. That's why I was kind of stopping you before we get into
Yep.
this. That has, on us having a conditional approval right now, has nothing to do with Ed 306. And that's when I spoke with Ed Murdo, and he said that confusion between the two, and the state hasn't done a very good job, as he acknowledged to me, of defining the difference between the two. So many people are calling that same question of what's the difference. So what we didn't meet, what we really did not meet those requirements were technology and music. And so we're looking at those right now. Once we get rolling with school, I'll be meeting with Mr. Kendrick and Ms. Martineau to kind of to figure out where it is that we feel we're lacking, if they feel like we're lacking. And again, the state honestly, the state offered up to me, do you want to make those changes now? When I spoke to them, this is, several weeks ago, I said, really, I can't make that decision. That, Ms. Mosier made that decision back when she did this in the fall. Respectfully, I have to kind of talk with everybody and see if I agree with her assessment then. Would I make that same assessment now? If that has changed since then, by all means, we'll make changes to that, and I've been given that opportunity to do so. I said I'll talk with them by October 1st with my discussion with the state.
Okay.
So that's what, yes, absolutely.
And we will keep the board informed as the process
Oh, yeah,
moves forward.
if we determine that we do meet all the standards, then we'll make that change. I'll keep you apprised of that also. Last week you were notified that fourth grade was becoming quite large. We had concerns that we were possibly broaching 50. Right now we're remaining pretty static at 48. And if we go over that number, I will certainly keep you apprised of that also. If I get the impression that we're going to go over, or even if our numbers start to drop through some transiency in fourth grade, I'll keep you in the loop.
And I don't know about you, Jerry, but my visit in those classrooms, I mean, they're big classes, but the teachers, both teachers were really upbeat about it.
Absolutely.
They're ready to go. So I think as long as things stay the way they are, we should be okay, based
Yeah.
on what I'm seeing so far.
Good.
So far, so good. Well, and those are adequate sized classrooms also. Those meet the minimum standard of 900 square feet, and I'm not sure all the classrooms in the building do meet that minimum standard. That's fairly new, and a lot of the schools that are older don't have that 900 square
Who
feet.
grandfathered.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying, but the modules do.
The modules
But the
do.
modules do, they build them
do.
that way, so
Yeah.
really, in order, if we have larger classrooms, that's probably the most ideal place to
Right,
have a
yeah.
larger class.
Definitely.
The well status, we expected Milton Well and Pump here yesterday or the day before. I don't think that they came. I'll be honest, I didn't get a chance to speak with Joe, but I did speak with Joe today. He called me when I left the admin meeting this afternoon. It was the call from Joe, and Yankee Pump is going to be here Monday at 9:30. If you want, I know you wanted to be here for that. They will be here next Monday at 9:30. Yes, sir.
When did you talk to Joe about?
This afternoon.
Because I talked to Joe this afternoon.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I don't know that Milton, we were expecting when I wrote this report that Milton Well and Pump was coming yesterday or today. And when I spoke with Joe at about 4 o'clock, he informed me that Yankee Pump and Well was coming Monday at 9:30.
He didn't mention when they were coming.
No, that's what he talked to me.
He didn't give me a day, he was gonna let me know, but.
Yeah.
Should I talk about this now, when I talk about Joe, or should I wait till it is on the agenda later on?
Yeah, let's wait, let him finish his report,
Okay.
Steve.
We are still waiting furniture for Mr. Kearns, if you recall, Mr. Kearns, our new science teacher. There were new stools.
They were new last year, what happened to those?
I couldn't tell you. It's
thought
all
that was
new to
odd
me.
to see this.
I can tell you that looking at, he's using the old stools from last year. Joe had cleared them out, put them in storage. Fortunately, he held on to them until the new.
Old one-year-old stools.
If they're one-year-old stools, they didn't last long because they're pretty beat up. I believe they were upholstered, and so the ones that I was looking at the other day, they were pretty ragged. So if they're one-year-old stools, then get your money out. You get your money's worth out of them. And I'm not
Because we
sure-
had wooden stools that there for 9 years, 10 years, and then.
Yeah, those resin stools work out pretty well, and the wooden.
Then they
the metal
bought these
stools with
last
wooden
year,
tops,
and
those
we're
work out pretty
waiting for
well.
new stools, okay.
But anyway, they haven't come in yet, but we have something for the students to sit on that's appropriate in the room. As I said, I got a chance to talk to a few of you last week. School started. I thought it started really well. The students are responding very well, I think, to my style. As an example, today I was in 7th, 8th grade lunch, and what I tell the students is it has to be a quiet lunch. It doesn't have to be a silent lunch, but we need to be to hear each other talk, and that conversation should be had like between Steve and I at this proximity. I shouldn't be trying to have a discussion with Liz from across several tables. So I just think it should be conversational level of noise. And today in lunch I could hear the kids saying to themselves, "Shh," and I think, oh great, the students are kind of taking care of it themselves. I don't have to be that heavy, which tells me that they're starting to get it and they're acclimating to the way I kind of run the building. And then, walking down the hallway today, yesterday, we was in a meeting and Judy was with me, and I had to leave the meeting to go intervene with a group of kids. Well, today, down the hallway, right-hand side, quiet, one intervention with the kids yesterday afternoon at lunchtime, and teachers are more involved, and they're really doing well. I'm really proud of the way they've responded, and that we've set the bar high and they've achieved, and just kind of what I thought would happen anyway. If we set the bar low enough, they'll achieve that. If we set the bar high enough, they'll achieve that also. Interactive whiteboards.
Could I ask
Questions?
you a question? Did you have 4 assemblies?
Uh,
2 for both, or was
I know,
it
it's probably just the-
one for each?
You're probably picking apart my language, Liz. Yes, it was one for one in the
Okay.
elementary wing and one for the middle school wing,
Okay.
and just to kind of reinforce what my expectations were. Interactive whiteboards, I can't find anything. I've talked to a few people. Nobody really has a real strong idea of what the intention was of the interactive whiteboards, where they were going. I've gotten some different stories of what classes were getting them and what boards were being purchased and from where and with the. So I know there was a number that was assigned to it, and I know I think it said 6 interactive whiteboards. So I've got
Did you say
a.
it was like 9 and?
It was 9 and 6.
9 and 6.
9 projectors and
nine
I showed you
projectors.
where it was in the
Yeah, I found
budget.
the line. I'm just saying, I don't recall exactly what it
16,000.
was now.
Just don't know where they're supposed to go.
I don't know where the number came from, where the quote came from, or who to call. So I've called around to a few different places. I've got to call out to Promethean to find out what their costs are. Smart has gotten back to me at about $3,800 for the whole piece, which is the smart board, the projector, the projector arm. I'll be honest, I prefer smart technology. I think it's much more user-friendly. I think it's much more, you have much more ability to generate curriculum or your curriculum on the smart board. So I have a bias toward the smart. I know it's much more expensive than Promethean or the others, but if I were to have that latitude with the board, that's where I would go with it, and would purchase fewer boards this year. But I think we get a much higher quality board and a much more user-friendly board.
I thought you said they were already ordered.
I said in my email that Jerry Plymouth ordered the smart boards this week. Obviously,
okay,
he
so it
didn't.
hasn't
because-
been done
No,
yet.
I'm
Okay.
looking, because again, believe me,
Yeah.
after our discussion around Mac Airs, believe me, I'm not going down that road again. So with that latitude
I
from
only,
you,
I only told you what I was told.
I would prefer, and again, I have no idea, I know you didn't plan on smart boards by brand, because you wouldn't have gotten that 6 at that price. I would probably end up with 3 at that price, but I think we'd end up with a much better product, and I think with a much more
So what you're
user-friendly.
recommending, how does that compare with what you were going to be paying for the 9 and 6?
Well, that's what I'm saying, I think the 9 was for the projectors,
Yeah?
and the 6 was for the smart boards, but I'm not sure if the projectors were for the interactive whiteboards. I don't have anything to base that opinion on. I don't know if it was
We need
9
more
individual
information.
projectors for
Yeah.
something else, or if you had 9 projectors and 6 of them were to go to the white interactive whiteboards and 3 were going to go elsewhere.
So we don't even have the order
You
to
know,
know where
I
it came
think,
from or
I
how-
think I have some of that information in my budget book, because I think
Whatever
we
you have, I'll
had that
take.
information
Yeah,
brought to
because it
us.
seems like we don't know
And,
where
yeah,
they-
I think I have information. I just put a circle
I
on
thought that
it.
the purpose of the 6 was we were gonna do a quarter each year. This was 24 classrooms at the time, and we were gonna do a quarter.
Yep.
Jude, that's great. I just don't know where those LCD projectors allocated also to part of them to the interactive whiteboards and those, if we're gonna do a quarter every year, were we planning on doing interactive whiteboards in every classroom over the course of time? Again, I'm just not
Thought
clear
it was
on what the
over 4
plan was.
years.
Those are my minutes. Those are my
The
minutes.
other minutes we didn't have were tucked under something else.
9:30. So, if you could get that to me, if you could find
I
that,
will look
Priscilla,
at
but-
that and see what because I know that during budget season, I know they gave information. I have a grid, they're gonna keep all that stuff.
So what I'd ask for right now is a little guidance from the board, what your pleasure would be in regard to my purchasing of interactive whiteboards.
My suggestion
I'd like to
is
see
that
the
we
comparison.
Yeah,
hear,
that's,
we,
The comparison regard to, I'm sorry, Judy.
Go ahead,
Comparison
yeah.
regard to what, Judy?
Price and,
I think you're, well,
I need to see something written down, I need to see something
Mhm.
And I
The
need to know
quotes.
something about the difference between the whiteboard and the smartboard and.
Sure. Okay, we can do that.
What do we have here now? What are we
I
using?
think you have a mix. You have, there's an off-brand, I forget the name of that brand, and you have some Promethean. And my understanding is there have been some difficulties and challenges between the interaction between the Promethean and the Max. That hasn't always been so smooth. Whereas I know that the interaction between the Mac and the smart
Here's where Back
technology
Bay
is
comes in.
outstanding.
I was
I'm not
just
trying to
gonna
sell
go
it,
there.
I'm just saying these are my experiences and this is what I'm hearing.
You know,
from-
maybe what we should do is send it to the technology committee and let them make a recommendation.
Well, what I was gonna suggest is that he bring Back Bay into the technology committee and I don't really care what the plan was. What I care about is what the people that we have here now recommend based on our current needs, our current staff, and the resources that we have available. So, you know, the past is the past. Let's look at the amount of money, let's look at your recommendation with input from the technology committee and
When do
Back
commi-
Bay and
When do committees start meeting?
bring a plan.
Well, I have my first staff meeting next week, and I want to
Yeah,
talk to
month.
them about changing some of the committee.
It'll be a month before committees.
Well, we can push up the tech piece.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm looking at all the committees being on a Wednesday being almost impossible. I mean, I expect to be involved, much more involved in each committee rather than two committees. And if we always meet on Wednesdays, then I spend half my day, half the time in one committee, then go to the other. And I don't feel like you do that with fidelity, and I don't think you have a firm grasp of what's happening in these committees. So what I'm going to throw to the staff is what days are what committees going to meet, and it's not going to be all, there may be one on Wednesday, but I plan on being involved in more than two committees, and I want to do that with fidelity.
Even some of the teachers were involved in more than one committee, which made it very difficult when they were meeting on Wednesday.
I just don't think they can do so well.
So,
And the last thing I want to, again, take note of before school started, we brought the custodians out to lunch just as a thank you to them. They were very appreciative, and I just want to, publicly say thank you to Joe Williams, Jerry Susi, Rick Perot, Tim Cameron, and Bob Adams for just all the hard work they did, this summer.
And the school looks great.
And it looks outstanding. I'm still squeaking as I walk down some of these hallways, and the floors are outstanding, the walls are, and, wanting to also kind of impress upon the students that it's their responsibility to take care of this building and respect what the gentleman done over summer and continue to do throughout the year.
Yep, thank you
it
very
looks
much.
great. Okay, any questions of Jerry? School board, we've done it all, okay. SAU.
I will try to be brief. There are a few things I want to touch on. I think that Jerry is not really blowing his own horn. I think the opening here at the Paul School was fabulous, and he gets a lot of credit for that, and so does Nathan, but so does the rest of the staff. And it's not only students that I think are appreciative of Jerry's leadership style. I'm hearing it from teachers, from staff members. People are saying,
Parents.
from parents, great, you're hearing it from parents. People are really happy with the direction we're going, and more of the same. Let's keep it up. So that's great. I did have the pleasure of riding a bus the first day of school, and I can tell you when we started picking up students at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I know there are some that get picked up before 6 o'clock. That's a long ride. I mean, I don't think I had the longest ride, but the ride down to Spalding High School. And there was one young lady on the bus I was on. We hadn't even got to school yet, and she said, "I need a nap." There,
Here's my night.
I
Some
did.
of the high school starts at East Wakefield, yeah.
Yeah, I did hear back from the superintendent in Rochester, and I told him that you and I are going to be attending their meeting in which they're talking about the starting time for Spalding High School, and that we fully understand that this is a Rochester decision, it's not a Wakefield decision, and that we'll be there, and we'd be happy to answer any questions if they have any of us, and otherwise we'll be respectful witnesses. But I wanted him to know that we do care about that, and I pointed out to him that we've got students that get picked up before 6 o'clock, and that's pretty tough, especially when we encourage them to participate in athletics and other activities. So that was good. The bus driver did a great job trying to find new kids that she didn't know about. I wanted to also thank Viv for her work in the building and pass off to Liz some incredible old records. This is the treasurer's records from 1914, and it looks to me like the total expenses for the school district were about $8,000 that year. So,
1,600.
the budget has increased some since 1914, and these are more records, handwritten minutes from district meetings from the 50s.
Yeah.
So there's some great stuff here, and Liz is interested in them from the Town Historical Society perspective. So there's some great stuff that was unearthed as we were going through back rooms. We discussed a little bit at the joint board meeting, but I want the people of Wakefield to hear that SAU 64 as a whole is discussing with a coalition of school districts the possibility of seeking a large federal grant under Race to the Top. The boards haven't made a decision on that. That will be going back to the joint board later this month. There's a coalition of school districts, including Pittsfield, SAU 64, Laconia, Berlin. I don't recall it was Colebrook. A number of school districts. The intent is to increase the personalization and individualization of instruction for our students, to increase accountability. Specifically, one of the requirements is that school districts who are funded have to have student performance as part of their evaluation, not only for teachers, but also part of the evaluation process for principals and superintendents, which I really like. If you're not improving student achievement, then you got to question how well you're doing your job. So there are some pretty good requirements in there. There are absolutely some strings attached, which we need to discuss. There hasn't been a decision made, but I wanted to let the public know that is something that we're talking about. There is a special SAU 64 board meeting at 5 p.m., which will be here on the 19th, specifically to talk about Race to the Top, and anyone from the community that is interested in this, it would be great to have you come and share your thoughts.
What was that date?
That is the 19th, 2 weeks from tonight at 5 o'clock, right here. Otherwise, I wanted to thank the...
Do you want Deb to be there to take the minutes for that joint meeting? 'Cause we have a meeting right
Yeah,
after.
you have a meeting right after. Would you be available to
Board
come?
meeting
No,
night.
if we've got a meeting, I'll be here anyway.
Okay, thank you. Lastly, I just wanted to thank the people of Wakefield and the employees and the students. You've got such a friendly group. As I go through the hallways, they don't know who I am. And I walk into the classrooms and the teachers are if they're busy going about their business, I don't necessarily want them to stop and introduce me. Teaching kids is most important. But some of them, if it's the right opportunity, they stop, they introduce me. The kids are friendly in the hall. Everybody's working hard, and so I think you should be really proud of your school and your community. That's all I have unless you have questions.
Anybody have any questions, Jay?
We didn't get a report this week, did we?
Superintendent's
You didn't get a written report. I try to get them written, and I didn't get it written this time.
I meant
It's-
to bring up at the SAU meeting, what we used to get, and I don't know if it's something you'd be interested in doing, is instead of doing it for each board for a board meeting on Fridays, we used to just get one made out to both districts, and it was a combination of what was going on in both districts.
Hmm. And then
For the, this
Those
is what
should-
happened this week, and this is where we're headed next week type thing. Like, we attended this meeting or that
Yeah.
meeting. And then at the bottom, Gail used to put a list of dates and meetings that you had, or that Andrew was at, or that Scott was at that week. So
Okay.
we'd know not to call, or we could say, oh, okay, don't call today, they're in a meeting. And then the girls don't get bothered at the office.
that sounds good. I'll talk to Kathy about that and see
Kathy
if
pretty
we
much
can.
did that. You just give her the information on your schedule.
Reproduce
I'm
that.
sure you do the calendar together anyways. And
Yeah.
Kathy would basically do that, and then she would add her
Yeah.
And then I think that,
And
that
that-
should become part of the
Yeah.
minutes, so there's a public record of that.
And then we get to know, kind of know it kind of gives us an idea of what you're doing in Milton too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we know, what projects you're working on there and what your time commitment is there, and they kind of know what you're working up here and what your time commitment is here.
That sounds a good idea.
And we just got it it was emailed to us on Fridays.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Superintendent's
it went to
notes,
to both
Yeah, just went to the
boards.
whole SAU board.
yeah. I think it went to all the administrators too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just by email every
So that
Friday.
everybody
Good.
knew.
You want to print it? Print it.
Good, thank you. I will give it my best to either do that or something similar to that, because that sounds
Yeah, it was
helpful.
just a suggestion.
Yep.
That way the board keeps informed and we.
Yeah, it was very.
And
good.
it's hard to keep you guys informed of everything we're doing, so if I can get into that rhythm, it'll be good.
Okay, school board business. First of all, I want to thank Viv for doing the food for the meet and greet.
Yes.
She had a injured knee and still went forth and got all that stuff together, and it was quite a spread, so we thank you for that.
And
Yes.
thank you for our dinner that night as well.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you for the sandwiches, that was great.
We're into food, Viv. You went
That's it.
Oh, gosh. Okay, and I have a request of the board to approve having school care come in and do a presentation on their different insurance plans, and maybe do it like at 3:30 for a staff meeting, so that the staff can be here too. We had talked about this before, and we really need this information when we go forward with negotiations, and Judy and I discussed this, and thought maybe it would be a good idea to do this with the teachers present, so they can ask the questions.
Andrew actually came across something a little bit different that I think you might like even better.
Okay.
There's a company that has been talked a lot about at the ASBO meetings I've been going to.
Mhm.
That it's the company's called Granite Group Benefits. They're actually a consulting company that goes out and investigates all the pools in New Hampshire that offer medical insurance, and they do the comparison for you and help you pick out which is the best plan for your district.
What's the cost?
It's around $5,000 for the entire
SAU.
which would be both the SAU, Milton, and Wakefield.
And what would the school care be?
School care's free. They come out, they offer to come out.
But you only hear from one company.
Insured
We're
with,
sure-
right?
Yeah, we currently have school care. But they have a new plan, an OA plan, that's supposed to be beneficial to the taxpayer and beneficial to the teachers too.
Would your company be reviewing school care among other things? So it would be
They'll compare each of the companies out there.
It'd be better to get the whole picture instead of one side.
And I think there are only 3 in New Hampshire currently,
Right,
aren't there?
and this is what I'm getting
There's
at, what I was
three
gonna say.
major ones.
Yeah.
There's 3, so we've got school care, they'll come before us. I assume that the other 2 that would want our business would also come,
And free.
and free. That
It's
costs
just
us
a matter how much time
$5,000.
you are available to devote to that, but they'll come if you ask them,
Well,
I
I think that
suspect.
we could probably get some information on what they offer for plans and money, and may be able to say, oh, forget them, and just go with whatever might be best for us. $5,000 seems like a lot to me, it's what the board wants.
I prefer to get for free.
I think we can
I think we-
figure it out.
So do I have the approval of the board to ask Andrew to contact school care, and Jerry and he make a decision on what night would be good, what afternoon?
Does anybody know how long the presentation would be?
I think when they did one that, they gave us one at New High School, and I think it was about a half hour.
Half hour?
Yeah,
So could we schedule 2 or 3 of them all in one night then? Bang them out and get them done?
Well, I mean, there's something to compare with.
yeah,
They're only a half hour.
we may even eliminate one of them because of their plans may not
Well,
suit us
right.
or their costs, so.
But I mean, if they're only a half hour presentation, we could probably do 2 or 3 of them in one night
Yeah.
instead of dragging it on.
And then
The other
there's-
thing I'd be inclined to do is invite some other superintendents and their school boards if they wanted to attend, and let's make it efficient, and then there's no reason why Farmington wants to hear it, They could come to Wakefield and hear it if,
And Milton, I would-
anybody else
Milton,
that's
yeah.
interested, I could just reach out to some surrounding districts and invite
Good
them.
idea.
Yeah,
like
that's a good idea. And then that way it's one night,
One
Okay.
night, get
and they have
over with.
comparison.
And
And
you
we'll
gotta
do
get it done before negotiations, so.
The Paul School gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have the gym.
Jay,
So
in the-
Andrew, will you
in our
contact
gym?
these people for us?
Well, we'll see how many people we have. We
We'll
may or
see
may
what
not
there
need
is.
the gym, but
Did I email
we'll
you and
schedule
ask
it
you
wherever we
that?
need it.
Okay.
And you said you could discuss it tonight with the board.
Yes, I said I had to get approval of the board.
There's basically three companies.
Right.
Primex was one of the, I forget the company that took over for Primex.
Okay, we'll go
Not a manual.
do what we can.
Good, good. Okay, and let's see, anything else? We did the
Do you need
policies.
to make a motion for it, or just approve it? Just,
Oh, consensus is all we need.
all right, so you got it, right?
Yeah, everybody's in agreement, so
Okay.
it shouldn't be a problem. I just didn't want to do this without the agreement of everybody. Status of the new well, did you want to have something to say about that, Steve?
Yeah, I talked to Joe this afternoon, I guess along with Jerry. He didn't have that time for Monday yet. But with the holiday this week, I guess Milton Pump got a little disoriented and whatever, but they are now requesting more information about the well as it is presently. So Joe's getting some information from Yankee, and so that he can give to Milton, and so, but now Yankee's coming, Milton's gonna be coming, and I threw out the name of Hartley. So Joe's gonna have Hartley come down too, because, I don't know, this well doesn't sound well.
Well, it would have to go out to bid if it was over
It's unwell.
X number of dollars anyway.
Well, right, but I mean, if we get, you know, I
Three.
don't know, I've heard Hartley's pretty good, so you know, we'll have three opinions at that point, but I don't know.
They'll know
to
what they're
me-
bidding on too, so.
Well, right, but I mean, you know, I didn't know the well was 1,000 feet deep, and if it has to be hydrofrac'd again, because it was already done once, and if it's already has to be done again, and Joe says you're not getting a lot of gallons per minute out of it. So, you know, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but
Okay.
it doesn't sound like it's well, and hopefully we don't throw good money at bad. You know, it may be to a point you might have to dig a new well if it's,
Have to cross that,
but we have to find that out.
yeah.
And as far as the inside well, it's on the list. It's gonna be taken care of as soon as you can get to it. Focus.
Hey, what?
The inside
The
well?
inside well.
The inside well with what?
It's on the list.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna get to it as soon as he can.
Okay.
What's the
Put inside well.
The sink in the library.
Oh, okay,
Inside well.
okay.
Okay. Okay.
They're waiting for, I had asked them about all the sinks that weren't hooked up yet. They're waiting for the cabinets to come.
Yes, I meant to say that to Jerry
Because the
too.
sinks that are in the classrooms have cabinets,
Mhm.
and a lot of the cabinetry,
Easy for you to say.
yeah,
Hawkins
is all
Nicholson.
back ordered for a lot of the different cabinets for
Pipes
the
and
rooms and
exposed
stuff.
Pipes.
Right, but we had asked about it, but they have all their boxes stacked up, because it's gonna go in the cabinets, but because it's all one unit with the sinks, they can't do anything, and they're still waiting for their orders on both those classrooms.
Yep.
That's the only reason all those boxes are still
Yeah.
there.
But
I
he's
talked
buttoning,
with Cindy about it.
there's a number of things that, you know, he's still buttoning up on.
Yeah,
So,
he's
you
waiting
know,
for
Right,
stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, 'cause-
So as soon as, you know,
materials.
Mhm.
I'm sure he'll take care of it. He always does a good job, so.
He's like a one-on paper hanger right now. He is.
Oh, I bet.
He's hustling
Yeah.
all day long.
He doesn't sit.
I've seen him
No.
running
Yeah, he
in the
doesn't, he
hallway.
doesn't sit. He doesn't know how to relax.
If I call him, boy, I'm almost embarrassed to call him and say I need something. I know he is just so busy.
yeah,
So
there's a lot to do.
He is, and he's a hard worker. I
Oh, yeah.
appreciate him a great deal.
Okay, priorities.
The discussion last time was that the administration would take a look at the at the priorities and give you our thoughts. And the priorities that we were able to identify, I don't know if there's something different, was the Wakefield School Board 5-year goals and strategic plan 2010 to 2015. And we met, 4 of us, Jerry, myself, Scott, and Mary, and looked this over. And there's some components in here that are really strong. There are some components in here that we thought were maybe more level of detail than a strategic plan warranted. For example, some of the things referenced didn't anticipate the Common Core. So some of the terminology in here is no longer accurate. So what we collectively thought of as a group, I just went out and pulled out a strategic plan. It happened to be, when you Google it, New Hampshire School Strategic Plan, the first one that comes up is Timberlane. So I printed this one. A strategic plan is, like a year-long process, and there's a whole lot to it. And so we wanted to come back to you and ask, you have, I think, in your policies a requirement to create annual board goals. Annual board goals would be a very few goals that the board's looking for direction. What you have is called a strategic plan, but it's quite different than the format and the amount of public involvement and stuff like that, the amount of meetings that's involved with what's typically thought of as a strategic plan. So we sort of come back to you and ask for a little more direction. I think it's...
I guess I was the one that put priorities on, and I guess it wasn't for that reason at all.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, swing and a
I
miss.
was wondering where we were.
No, I just feel
makes sense,
that
though.
the board needs to give some direction as to what our priorities are that we want worked on.
Absolutely.
It's the budget time of year, so obviously budget's going to be a priority.
Yeah.
We need to decide what we're doing with our bus maintenance. That, to me, is a priority, because I think the town's now waiting to see what we're doing with the efficiency study and the first student estimate and everything. Right now, I think those are the 2 big ones, is the budget, because that's what the season that we're coming into. I could probably list off a list of priorities, but I put it on there because I feel like we don't have a common direction.
Yeah.
And I feel that there are things that we want to be worked on, and maybe other things are being done that we really might not have any interest in.
Yeah, sure.
So I just wanted a general discussion of the board, and maybe just throwing out the thought of it, and maybe having it on the agenda for the next meeting so everybody can kind of think about what their list of priorities might be. But we all need to get working here together.
Yeah, the greatest priority that the administration has is obviously improving student achievement, and every administrative meeting, I think since we've started, we've talked about what I call the dashboard, which is how are we going to create those measures that are the ones on which we're going to measure student achievement, so we can tell over time whether or not we're making progress in that critical area. So I think when we're ready, if it's next time, that's fine. Wherever we're going to have that as a real board agenda item, we should bring you the current state of our dashboard, which may be 3 more months before we're done with it. But there is a draft. Jerry does have some ideas of what should we be measuring. How can we tell if we're moving kids forward? And so that's something that I think the administration would like to bring to the table to that conversation.
Yeah, why can't we bring it to the next one? And you already have it drafted, let's say what you have.
Yeah, it's
I think there's no time like the present.
it still needs refinement, but it's something we've
I
got.
think
Just
that
at least
priorities, I'm thinking of making sure that everything that was supposed to be ordered has been ordered, making sure the teachers have what they need.
Yeah.
Let's get the building, the final touches of the asbestos project cleaned up. Let's work on the budget. Let's decide what we're doing with busing, and that's the direction that we want the SAU working on for us.
Right.
This is what we want you spending your time doing for us.
Super.
So everybody's gonna list priorities, and we're gonna have this on the next agenda, and people come forward with what they think are top priorities.
And are we gonna look at the draft of the dashboard?
Sure.
In
Yeah, that'd be
connection
great.
with
Get
that,
the
the
discussion going, so.
Doug from the Milton Board seemed to be totally unable to understand the program you have suggested of us getting that firm from New Jersey to go over our transportation. Have you offered them the conference call?
They haven't had the conference call. It was mentioned that it's something that Wakefield was interested in and was looking into. It's not anything that they have put on their agenda at this point. Now that that discussion went the way it did at the joint board meeting, they may or may not want to put it on their next agenda. But
Well, the conference call didn't cost anything, did it?
it didn't. But as Judy was just saying, different boards want to put their time on different things.
Right.
And if they don't put it on their agenda to have such a conference call, then they're obviously not prioritizing it. So we have started working on their next agenda, and
Well,
it's
I
not
think
on
we
the
should
draft.
prioritize it with or without them.
Yeah.
And soon, not wait all year long.
Well, you don't have to wait. You
I
don't,
know.
you don't have to wait
I
for
know,
them.
But we would like to give them the chance to reduce our mutual cost.
I will make a note.
If you could,
To
I mean, that's
touch
what,
base with
15 or
them.
20 minutes of their meeting, that would, and certainly would enlighten them a great
I
deal.
emailed Doug, and he didn't get back to me.
I've kind of been thinking about this after we got their proposal last week. And I'm a little concerned because of the roads in our town as to what we're going to gain by them doing a routing study. Because what I can see is if they're going to be doing this remotely, and they're not going to be coming up here, Liz, and they're doing it by GPS, I can see them saying, oh, we can reroute your buses over Oak Hill Road and save you 5 miles. And
They were
them
going to have
sending us
someone come
over-
up here. There was
But
going to
they're
be
gonna
someone
charge
up
us.
here.
That's an additional thing.
That's additional transportation.
Well, the thing is, that's the way to do it. You can't do it remotely.
Well, that's what they're going to do, is they're doing it by GPS remotely.
And if they come in the spring, the one-way might work, but we know what that road's gonna look like in the winter, and it's not passable halfway down.
Well,
Come in the spring, it's
what we have at this point is we have a general proposal. It's not unreasonable at all to go into more detail and to say, here's a question that we have. Not all of our roads are passable in the winter. How do you address this when you're developing it?
Well,
We've
it's
gotta-
not just that they're passable, it's that some of them, most of them, we have more miles of private roads than we do town roads, and we can't put the buses over private roads.
Right.
So all you have to do is identify them. I mean, you mark on a map, these roads are private, and it's, this is what they do. I mean, I've been through this, I have not been through this process with them, but I've been through the process where I've had to sit down with a map I've actually had bus drivers come in and have them say, this road here, we need to mark that it's not passable in the winter, this road here, make sure it's clear that it's dirt. You send them material, and they look at what you've got, and they ask you questions, and, it's a process. But I haven't done it with this company. I think we need to make sure that they would get the job done for
We've
us.
had so many clues as you work in your transportation committee, and as we look at the manifest, we've had so many clues that there's something seriously wrong with the present situation.
I think we can
You were going to
improve.
ask them for a sample of one that they had done for another town? Did you
Yeah.
get that?
I haven't gotten that yet, no.
Do you recall whether or not you've requested that?
I haven't,
know
done
we've-
it yet. I'll do that in the morning.
Okay, so that hasn't been communicated yet.
Is then we can see what they.
People that come to my house, they get, if they're using a GPS, even in the middle of winter, it tells them, I don't know, all GPS has ever done, is to go over the Marsh Road, which is a dirt road, and it's just barely passable,
Well, see,
to
this
get
is
to
what
my
I'm
house.
concerned
And so
about,
if they're
yeah.
just using that could be a problem.
Right.
But sitting down, identifying the roads with bus drivers beforehand might be the way to go. Steve?
What about looking at other companies that do this, maybe?
Yeah, we should be putting out a bid.
Geotab, remember that one that Judy Brown had?
Yeah.
I
And
worked with
also,
that.
Peter told me that I had him ask MRI if they do these types of studies, and MRI said not to waste your money on having a company do it. You can call Verizon. Verizon will give you cell phones that you put in your buses, and a program, and it does it itself.
Yeah, it's a GPS.
You
It's a
can't
question of-
talk on
of
the
what-
phone, but it's just a locator, and that you can get this program through
Absolutely.
Verizon for.
That's part of what we talked about. There are a lot of people that have in their buses these GPS programs. That does not do an analysis of your maintenance program. That's a different thing. So solving that component of knowing where your buses are is a matter of putting GPS units in them, and a lot of people do that. We can do that independent of any outside company, and I would actually advocate doing that. I think that's really useful. What I had suggested, which is just a suggestion, is that you take the time once every 10 years, spend the money, and really bring in pros, and dig to where they find opportunity. But we can do whatever you want, and I think we're about ready to the point to start drafting an RFP, and the RFP would have a number of questions for companies to answer, and one of them would be, in your analysis and recommendations, how would you address the varying types of roads and how they're impacted by different seasons? In your RFP, you got to let people know what your questions are, and if you don't know who's going to reply, but if you think we're ready to go to that step, then we'll start drafting an RFP, and I think that's something that obviously the Transportation Committee would be, I would think that it would be wise to have this board authorize the Transportation Committee to make decisions about that, because it'll take a while to do that, especially when we're just ramping up for 3 budgets. RFP doesn't cost you anything.
Do you want to do that, Judy? Transportation Committee, Steve and Judy?
I don't mind doing that if the board wants to continue with this process, but I'm just a little bit concerned because I just don't know how they're going to do the fleet operations and the maintenance and everything if they're not going to be here. How do they do that from there? Are they going to come up and look through our bills?
But maybe, would it be, like Liz said, would it be worth having them pay them to come up there and just do it?
Well, now you're not, if Milton doesn't do it with us, we go from 7,840 to 9,800, then add travel on top of it. And what my concern is, we're getting too far into the budget with the expenses. I was hoping to be able to do something in combination with the town before we started spending all this bus repair money. And now we've got quite a bit of the bus repair money spent and quite a bit of the year left to go. Depending on when this could be done, the idea was to do it as soon as possible to save the money in this year's budget. But the further you get into the year with this process and the longer you take and you're spending money as you go along, you're going to have an over expense, not a savings of money.
They're going to save us money. The whole point of doing this is because they're going to save us money.
I'm just saying I don't know if this is the right time to do it, because you're not going to have the $10,000. The further you get into that transportation budget, the more money that's being spent.
You've
got to have the money in the budget to spend the $10,000.
You can
and
always
I don't know if we have that.
You can always do proposals and ask for the proposals to be effective on July 1 of next year. You get some proposals in, you might take 2 months to do that, and when you're finalizing your budget, you decide whether or not that amount of money is something that you want to budget for next year, with the expectation that if it's done well, and you schedule it in advance, so you do it in July or August, that in next year's budget, it's going to pay for itself.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about.
that
We
would-
want it to pay for itself, and the further we get into this school year, it's not
not
going
Yeah,
to pay
yeah,
for itself.
I agree.
I would like to also see if maybe, I think if we hadn't had a transportation committee and we had just hired these people to come in, I think one of their recommendations would have been to park the buses in one location and don't let them take them home. And I think the other one would have been to do something about your maintenance costs. And I think the board right now is addressing both those things, and I think you're going to see a big savings in fuel. and mileage, just with what we've done this year, and I'd like to see what that savings is before we start paying somebody else to find more. And I really would like to get going on the maintenance with the town. I know that they're kind of waiting to see if we're interested in going in with them.
So what we really need is the pleasure of the board. Do we continue to work on this? If you're not interested in it, then I don't want to spend any more time on it or have anybody else spend any more time on it. If this is not the right time, then let's stop doing the work. We've got plenty of other work to do. If it is the right time, then let's move forward.
I just think there's things that we've already identified. I mean, we need to start buying our tires at state bid. We need to, the bus is parked at the town garage. And I think that if we could do something about the maintenance, I think there's gonna be a big savings just in that.
Let's just see what this year
And
does.
see what we've accomplished with that before we go spending $10,000. Maybe we can get the Verizon ones for a heck of a lot less than $10,000 and just do the route part of it. I think we need to look into more things before we just jump into this. And I'm really
Whatever your
worried,
pleasure is. I mean, it's
I'm
your-
worried about the roads and them doing it remotely.
Savings on the maintenance.
Well, would these be something, questions to ask them, and how long is it gonna take, and the roads, and,
Yeah, we can ask all those questions.
well, and then make a decision whether we wanna do it now, or wait till the beginning of July next year?
What were you saying?
I mean, it's not gonna-
Well, you want to make sure you have the money to pay for it. I mean, this
Well, of
isn't
course.
something we budgeted for. And the idea was if we could get it done at the
But-
beginning of the school year, then we'd be realizing that savings through their,
But they also said they average about 30%.
yeah, but if you listen to what they said exactly, they said if you do the complete study, and we're not doing a complete study. If you do a complete
should.
study, you'll save 30%.
Well, say
Maybe we should.
10%. Let's say incomplete study, 10%.
10% would be $50,000.
Absolutely.
It's big bucks.
50 grand.
If we do that RFP now, can we implement all this in the spring? So. it's-
Well, there are a couple of ways we could do it. We could have an RFP,
Yeah.
and we could say that the goal would be to implement the study in the spring or the summer. And then you get to the spring and you look at your budget. And if you look at your budget and it looks like you're running $100,000 in the black, then you call them up on March 15th and you say, we're in good shape, come out and do this so we can get it done. Or you say, we've put it in the budget for next year, come out and do it in July 1st.
But even if the 10%, that's 50 grand, that's gonna offset the 10 grand to do it.
I know, my recommendation is to go forward, but that's just my recommendation. The
It
board's.
doesn't hurt to ask these questions, Judy.
No, we need to find out how, first of all, how long it's gonna take.
Right.
I mean, they may be booked. They may not be able to come to us till
Exactly.
February, in which case, they may not have the study done until April or May. In which case, we've gone and spent all our maintenance money and we don't have the $10,000 to pay them. So all I'm simply asking is for someone to identify in the transportation budget $10,000 that's available for this expense. That's all.
Sounds like this-
Before we spend it.
Sounds like this has to go back to your committee and you formulate some questions and
Right.
contact some people and get some answers and then bring
Right.
it back to the board. I
That's
mean,
what I'm saying. How about if we, call them back,
Maybe
ask
we
the
should have another
questions.
conference call with
Right.
MJ.
Yeah, I think so.
Even if it's just with the transportation.
with the
committee.
transportation, yeah,
And
that's
And
what I'm
ask them
thinking.
about the road, the private road.
This is why we have committees. You guys do it and then bring it back to us.
That's why
I mean,
we
we've
have
had
committees.
this-
But I think we ought to still look into it, Judy, and get the answer to these
Yes.
questions
Huh.
before we say no.
Right, I just don't want to,
Because-
I don't want to say, let's go ahead and do an RFP, not knowing the answers to these questions.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys.
I think we should wait to schedule the transportation committee until we receive from them a copy of a complete report and
Right.
some references.
Yes.
So that we can review a report, call a few references, because maybe the references will answer our questions. And let's know what the references have to say. If we'd thought of it up front, here's what we would have asked them to do.
Yeah.
Then we're in the best position of all to have a second conference call with the Transportation Committee, get our questions answered, and make a decision.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay.
Is
backing up.
everybody, pretty much the first student estimate that we got of $720,000, has everybody pretty much decided for the official record that we're not going to be outsourcing our buses?
On-
Yeah, I think.
As far as I'm concerned, on record, no.
Okay. And what do you want to do with the town? What direction do you want to head with,
I don't have enough information. I think you're going to have to go back with the town and what's it gonna cost us? I mean, have they proceeded? Are they waiting for us? Are they waiting for you guys? Or
my understanding is they're waiting for us. They're trying to decide if they're going to hire employees to replace the people at the town garage that have left. And part of that decision, I think, is waiting to see if we're interested in participating in the maintenance part.
I think we need to know what kind of maintenance they're going to offer us. Are we still gonna have to do a lot of maintenance at the Parizio's, or are they gonna be able to do the bulk of our maintenance?
Well, wait a minute, they're not offering us anything.
Well, I mean, well, you know what I mean.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make.
Yeah, no, I understand.
We're gonna hire a
Right.
mechanic together.
Are they going to be able to do the majority of our maintenance, or are we still going to be doing the majority of it at
So we still
the
have a hefty
Parizio? So
bill.
those are questions that just pop in my mind.
Well, if you look at what our expenses are mostly on the buses, it's a lot of electrical.
Okay.
It's a lot of oil changes,
Yeah.
tires.
Tire replacements.
Jump start.
Batteries, and brakes.
So that's something any
Pretty
mechanic could
general
do.
mechanic.
Is there a lift at the town garage that would, well, yeah, they've got big
They
trucks in it.
they don't use
Oh, they don't
They
have a
don't
lift.
use a lift,
They
they
don't
don't
have
use a lift on big.
Oh, you don't? Okay. I don't know. So they can
There's an
accommodate
initial,
a
there's
bus
an
at
initial
the town.
investment that the town will have to make in some tools. What was it, a tire changer? They talked
Tire
about a
changer.
lift if the police department went in.
Right.
I can't think of it.
Can one of you guys type that stuff up so that I can look at it all that information you have?
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
need to, and we had estimated a 20% share of the employee.
That sounds good.
We're paying $80 an hour.
You're not gonna pay an employee.
I think the
$80 an
transportation
hour.
committee should research it with them and make their recommendation and go with it.
Well, they're waiting to hear from us if we're
So-
interested in participating.
What do you think, Liz?
Sure.
I'm in.
I think we're all interested in
Yeah.
participating.
All right, so can me
Leave
and
it up to-
Judy go and
Work
talk to
out some
them and
details.
Do we,
see what we can come up with them?
I'm in agreement.
I'm
in
thinking
agreement.
of maybe doing a 1-year, what do I want to call
Trial?
it? Trial.
That's probably the
Yeah.
best bet. Then you're not locked into anything.
Then in the meantime, we could be doing this transportation study, maybe starting next July, after we've budgeted for it, and we can see how much savings there's been in what we've done.
yeah?
Okay. So everybody's in agreement to give you the permission to go forward with this.
To find out more
Right.
detailed information.
Oh, yes.
But we still need that plan from the company and what they've done for some
Yeah.
other
Yes.
district.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
so on.
And we'll look at that, and we'll have a conference
And then
call with
conference call
them.
after you have it, when you have the
Right.
questions to ask.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. that
You
takes-
could even have the Milton board in with us on the conference call.
On a conference call, yeah. That's not a bad idea. They can listen. Okay, anything else for priorities? I think that pretty much takes care of that. Transportation estimates,
We
what's
just
this?
did that.
Okay.
Committee.
Committee reports, safe routes to school.
Jerry and Nate joined the committee. We had a meeting last week, and we're going to schedule a walk to school day, and it's October 3rd, I believe it
I think
is.
that was
The
already
3rd or the
scheduled.
4th.
Off the top of my head, I forget.
You
That's
better start
already
on the
scheduled.
second.
That's already scheduled.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we already have it.
And Jerry and Nate are gonna organize that, and along with Wayne and Teresa. And
Oh, good.
what we'll do is start with the, we'll have the buses coming in from the outskirts of town. We'll be dropping off, we're gonna have 2 drop-off at the Parks and Rec building and 3 drop-off at the Catholic Church, and then the bussers walk in from there and have people at stations along the way just to make sure that they all get to where they're supposed to go.
Okay.
And Jerry was gonna try to coordinate something during the day to do with wellness.
Kind of kick it off with wellness also, with walking to school.
Yeah.
Not making it just a walk to school, but really what other kind of fitness activities can we do throughout the day that we can incorporate into the daily curriculum.
Will we have the wellness committee involved in that?
Probably, I mean, we're looking at what we can do in the classrooms, and it's probably a really activity-filled day.
Okay, any other committee reports?
So we haven't gotten into the grant part of that, and who's gonna pay for maintaining sidewalks and all that?
Oh,
type
we're
of-
not even, the town, I think they've pretty much decided that they won't be applying for the larger grant for the sidewalks in town because of the concern of having to maintain them. But there is a possibility that we may look into that we can have the sidewalks within the school property repaired or redone. And
We
we
need it.
already maintain our sidewalks, so that wouldn't be an issue for us.
As long as that's the only,
Yeah, the only string. So right now, we're waiting to get the $5,000 mini grant. We're still waiting for an answer on that, but in the meantime, we're gonna kick this off with the walk to school day this fall, and there's another one in the spring. And hopefully the grant will be in place by then, and then we can,
so we've already
That
applied for
October
the
third?
grant?
yes. The grant's done and the travel plan's done. Just the $5,000 grant, not the big grant.
Does someone have that grant?
Yeah.
Possibility that I could,
I thought everybody got it. Got a copy of it. When we applied for it. It's applied for in the town's
I
name.
think we did. Back a ways.
Yeah, it was quite a while
Yeah,
ago. It was
quite a while
submitted
ago.
in June.
Yeah. I think it was like March or
I'll
April.
get you a copy.
Yeah.
Is that October 3rd for the walk to school?
Any other committee reports?
3rd or 4th, I'm not sure which. the
National
day.
Walk to School Day is the 3rd.
Then it's this, it's the same day as National Walk to
It's the
School
3rd.
Day.
Any comments, any other school board business?
Walk to School Day.
what's the same as that day?
It's the next National Walk to School Day is October 3rd. So we're gonna do it here October 3rd too.
Any other school board business? Comments by the public? Jerry?
Had a few thoughts pop into my head the last 5 hours. I'm down to 4 hours and a half of memory left, but as a budget committee member, I know that last year we talked quite a bit about the lease on the computers with Apple, and we talked quite a bit about the Promethean boards, and I thought that we had all the right people come in and giving us information about those 2 things, and I really feel, I feel kind of bad that I didn't, do enough research on my own, because apparently the Promethean boards aren't maybe what they should have been, and the lease with Apple, I mean, I have no idea what that turned into, but, that's my position as a budget committee member. I think that with budget season coming up, I'm gonna do a lot more homework, and when people come in this year, to the budget, and they're telling us all the latest and greatest, and this has been a good education for me, from the technical standpoint, to know that if you think you're entering into a lease agreement with a corporation like Apple or something, I mean, out of all the things that we were told, I mean, we checked to see if is there an escape clause in this? What if this doesn't work out? What if that doesn't work out? I mean, Denny Miller, Howie Knight, they were on that board. Dave's on the board. I mean, we had some people asking really good questions. The only question that nobody thought of asking was, probably nobody thought of it, was, are they going to have the stuff that we are ordering? Or are they going to send us what they say they're going to send us, And I mean, it's kind of, like I say, I feel kind of bad that I didn't do, you know, I didn't do my job good enough as a budget committee member to make sure that I wasn't able to see through all this technology jargon that we were sold a bill of goods. You know, the people come in and they, you know, when they answer all the questions before you ask them, that's generally a problem. And I never expected that to happen, and I didn't see it coming. And like I say, with the Promethean boards, I mean, I thought that was a pretty extensive presentation on the Promethean boards, why we needed those in the classrooms and certain classrooms and everything. And I know on the budget committee, we thought we were doing the right thing. I don't know, we didn't get them, they didn't get ordered, they weren't the best ones, they weren't, I don't know what they were now at this point. But like I say, I hope that this year when, you know, when these presentations come up at the budget committee level, I hope that I hope I'm able to ask the right questions. You know, the simple questions, you know, are we gonna get what we thought we were gonna get, or are we gonna, you know, get stuck with whatever they got left? And questions that I never thought I'd have to ask. But anyway, that being said, you guys are talking about the transportation issues and everything, and I think a lot of people in here probably know that I wasn't a big fan of the selectmen spending $35,000 to have MRI come in and try and figure out where we could save money on the town activities. And I thought we could do a lot of the stuff in-house, and I think what you're doing with the transportation side is really working. I think it's a great idea. I think having the buses in one spot, I think, you know, you cut out a few $400 oil changes, and I mean, that's gonna add up. You know, and I think you headed in the right direction with doing something, you know, on your own with the town and hiring a mechanic. I mean, if you can get away with paying someone $25 an hour rather than $80 an hour to do a lot of these things, you know, it's bound to save you money, and I hope you continue on that same course. And like I say, I think you're doing the right thing. And I think that to quote Jay, I think that the knowledge exists inside this building or inside this room to save money on the transportation and the buses without having to hire some outside people to come in and tell us what we should be doing, what we should be thinking. I know that we paid MRI $35,000, and I thought we were getting a 90-day study. And to my knowledge, we haven't gotten any results from that study 9 months later. So sometimes those things don't always work out. I mean, I did see them leaving the town hall today after a top secret selectmen's meeting. So maybe before I got there, they had that briefcase chained to their arm, and they dropped off all this top secret information that none of us had. I hope they did, but like I said, I just want to encourage you guys to keep on going with the transportation the way you're going, and you know, I think you're on the right track, and you know, I think you can save money on the transportation and the buses and the maintenance, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Do you have anything, Ed? Okay.
Thank you, Ed.
Okay, I'm
Motion
gonna
to go into non-public?
make a motion to go, do you wanna make it?
No,
Oh,
no, you
okay.
can make it, I'm just
Okay,
moving along.
that's what I was about to do, make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91, oh gosh, darn. 91A 32B. Hiring of any person as a public employee, RSA 91A 32D. Consideration of acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property. Negotiations. RSA 91A 32C would be matters which, if discussed in public, likely would adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of the body or agency itself. Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Brown eye.
Lucy, aye.
Mason, aye.
Colbeth, aye.
Olympia, aye.
Okay.